On the 15th of April 2014, we woke to the news that 276 schoolgirls had been kidnapped from their classroom in broad daylight. The response was enormous and put little-known Boko Haram on the international radar. Since then, the world has tried to understand the group's motives. What drives Africa's most extreme terror network? Hello and welcome to Infocus. First, we have to start with a quick background on Nigeria. Without turning this into a history lesson, just know that the impoverished north is predominantly Muslim, while the rich south is predominantly Christian. In the poor north, literacy levels and life expectancy is low. The federal government is a much more ineffective force than it is in the south. All of these ingredients combine to make the perfect recipe for a terrorist organisation. Now to Boko Haram. Their name gives you a bit of an idea of what they're about. Boko, meaning Western education, and Haram, the Arabic term for sinful, used in the Quran to dictate an act that is forbidden by Allah. Western education is sinful. Despite their atrocities being committed against fellow Muslims, their selling tool is a hatred of the West. They began in 2002, led by a guy called Muhammad Yusuf. He himself had a Western-style education, but still believed that the world was flat and that rain was a creation of God. No wonder he hates Western education. The group was actually pretty peaceful until 2009, when they began to clash with the army, and Yusuf was arrested and executed a day after 186 people were killed in the violence. They were originally linked to Al-Qaeda, but those ties have since been abandoned because Boko Haram is too extreme. Think of that. If the group that carried out 9/11 thinks you're going too far, maybe, just maybe, you're going too far. And they've got some dubious honours. The first suicide bombing in Nigeria's history, the killing of more than 15,000 people, and the displacement of over 1 million. And that's just since 2009. The question you have to ask yourself is, why be so extreme? The great Russian dissident Fyodor Dostoevsky once said, while nothing is easier than to denounce the evildoer, nothing is more difficult than to understand him. And it's true. Why kidnap 276 schoolgirls or burn an entire town to the ground and kill 2,000 of its inhabitants? The Ladabanga massacre I'll touch on in a second, but it seems counterintuitive that if you're trying to recruit people to your cult, that you kidnap, kill and plunder without a second thought. They're deeply influenced by and now a part of Islamic State, which partly explains their strategy. The fiercer the reputation that precedes you, the more likely potential targets will be scared of you and give up their land more easily. Their strategy is promoting what they could do just as much as what they do, and it works. ISIL being a perfect case in point. And like ISIL, they want to establish an Islamic caliphate where Sharia law reigns supreme. After the schoolgirls were taken, social media exploded with the hashtag #BringBackOurGirls. The world's global powers responded, with the US, China, France, the UK and even Iran among the countries to offer assistance in returning the girls. But unfortunately, it's still not clear what has happened to them. Some believe they've been sold into slavery for as little as $10 each, while the local governor says they're being kept in underground bunkers. In reality, keeping and caring for their survival doesn't seem likely for a group as perverse as Boko Haram. The Baga massacre marked an even more brazen approach to their cause. Over 4 days, Boko Haram forced Nigerian troops and those from neighbouring Chad and Niger out of the local multinational Joint Task Force headquarters. That's a team set up to battle the group. Thousands of locals were dispersed, and the raid culminated in the mass killing of up to 2,000 people on the 7th of January 2015. The Nigerian government tried to downplay the atrocity, but UN satellite images painted a clearer picture. The town had been burned to the ground and no longer existed. Time and time again, people portray Islam as a dangerous religion. What they forget is that there are 2 billion Muslims around the world. Nearly 1 in 3 people that walk this planet peacefully dedicate their lives to the very religion that breeds a sociopathic minority. And it's not exclusive to Islam either. Remember Joseph Kony? His Lord's Resistance Army cult wants Uganda to be ruled according to the 10 Commandments. Let's be clear. These terrorist organisations breed in countries with a poor underclass that feel they've been taken advantage of. If the Nigerian north was Christian and the south Muslim, we'd be talking about crusades rather than jihad. The people they target are almost exclusively fellow Muslims. If you need further proof, look at the way these groups fund themselves. The Taliban makes tens of millions of dollars every year through drugs. Not exactly something you'd find on page 1 of the Quran. These aren't Islamic groups, they're cults, and followers are being completely betrayed. But it's not all doom and gloom for Nigeria. The country's potential is massive. It has the biggest economy in Africa, low debt, and lots, and I mean lots, of oil. It's also home to one of the largest populations of youth in the world. And on the 29th of May, Muhammadu Buhari became Nigeria's new president. Not for the first time, he had a pretty controversial stint back in the 80s, but events like the Bargain massacre and former President Jonathan Goodluck's unwillingness to recognise the problem Boko Haram were becoming allowed Buhari to gain enough support to become re-elected. This may well be bad news for Boko Haram. Buhari is widely seen as incorruptible and tough, extremely tough. He's a former major general who harshly condemns the group's activities, and eliminating their influence is one of his top priorities. And Boko Haram know it. Already he's survived an assassination attempt from the group. But in Buhari, there is hope. Just how long that hope lasts, we're yet to find out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.